Okay, so the next little case study that we're doing is global media piracy, and particularly in relationship to the Australian context. I've actually published a couple of articles about piracy, so this is something that I'm quite interested in. So the issue I'd like to focus on in relationship to globalization is the idea that the internet provides a global forum for the distribution of media. But the companies that are the big players in creating media and the countries as well have tried in response to that to that global element to create territories. So you would be familiar with region coding on DVDs and the symbol BBC iPlayer, you can't watch this outside the UK sort of things. This isn't licensed to your territory. Everyone's familiar with this, yes? Yes? No? Yes. All right, no one nods. Okay, I'm going to assume yes. So these sorts of things, digital rights management, DRM, the idea is that you are taking a form, a technological form that is truly global, and it doesn't really matter whether I'm in the UK, whether or not I should be able to, whether or not I can access that website, and trying to make it what media used to be, which is restricted more clearly into particular countries or regions. So this is, I guess, an example where the technology, and particularly these ideas of global convergence, have exceeded or surpassed or gone too far past what the economic element of the media wants to deal with. Now, this has stood out in particular in Australia, where we are known for being supposedly the biggest pirates of all.
We didn't have to wait so bloody long for the DVDs.
I'll go into that, I promise. There, I guess, is a reaction that says we are being restricted from accessing something on a global form by these very artificial constraints that are trying to say that the world still exists only in countries. So there is, of course, then tension towards that. Geo-blocking, you would be familiar with. So this has gotten a bit better lately, but these titles on your left is an example of the Netflix titles available in the US Netflix under a particular genre, and these are the Australian ones on the right. So this, I guess, is an example of where there is a perception of unequal access, of things taking longer, and these sorts of things that belie that idea of the media as being truly global. So I use the term piracy. What is piracy? So the way that it's used today is of consuming outside official capitalist consumption. So it's a different form of consumption, and it has started being studied by scholars as a form of consumption, and kind of looking at the networks and so forth. It also, however, creates a black market economy, potentially. Now, this is not necessarily in terms of what you the actual, say, torrents or NZBs or whatever that you're uploading or downloading or whatever. It is through the people who host and distribute them and advertising monies and so forth. So in the UK recently, the guy who used to own it's been in battle for a long time, so you guys probably don't know about it, but a streaming site called Surf the Channel, and he went to jail recently for making quite a lot of money out of hosting various kinds of videos. So it's an interesting case study in a way, because it is this different kind of consumption. It is this different kind of economy where the actual content itself doesn't really have any monetary value because it's endlessly reproducible. Media is a different kind of economy in the digital age, as we talked about in the week on convergence, because if you take a piece of digital media, there's still the same digital media is there. It doesn't actually take it away, or copying is a different kind, and this is where the legal problems arise, that copying is not the same as traditional forms of theft, where you're actually taking something away from someone. So I guess it's interesting in that respect. And also, you know, we talk about participatory culture in terms of fans and in terms of social media and so forth. This is essentially also a participatory culture, albeit one that is not celebrated in those other kinds of ways that we looked at. So you're probably familiar with DVD region coding. I always find it interesting that South Africa and Egypt get to be in the Europe code, but the rest of Africa is then in the Russia-India code, which is, I don't know, there's something perplexing about how they divided this up. A lot of it has to do with existing deals, like have the filmmakers signed off that they give rights in this country, but they get the income from that country, and this sort of thing. So some of it has to do with rights and securing rights. And Netflix has had some trouble getting people to, particularly the big studios, to agree. But why would you do this? Say, releasing at different times and trying to break things up, if you know that this might encourage people to not buy your stuff but just acquire it illegally. And probably most people agree that the reason has to do with price discrimination. So just like we looked at when we talked the week we talked about film, the idea that, you know, you want to get the most possible you can out of the cinema before you put it to DVD, and get the most possible out of that before you go down and down the chain until eventually it's on free-to-air TV. That strategy of windowing has long applied to media around the world. It screens in a particular country, and then it goes to the next country, and then it goes to the next country. The thing is now, it doesn't need to do that. But the need for, or the desire to still be able to attract those premium prices and then go down the line is still desirable. So this is a bit of an older study, but it was done by Choice, so they're very reputable. And these two on the right are much more recent. So essentially, the idea is if you are selling things in different regions, you can sell them for different prices. You can release them at different times, and essentially thus try to control and optimize the amount you can attract. Australia has the most expensive iTunes in the world by quite a bit. And that's because for a long time there wasn't really that number of alternatives to compete with, so you may as well get as much as possible out of that. But it's still the case that there are quite high prices there. So I'm going to show you a couple of videos. We're going to analyse them further in the workshops of anti-piracy video ads from Australian context. Oh no, the first one's British, and then the next ones are Australian. I had to put this one in. This is the one that I grew up with, and it's amazing. So I want you to think about what these are saying about the global. It's from VHS.
The pirates are out to get you. Don't let them brand you with their mark. Piracy funds organised crime and will destroy our film and video industry. Piracy costs jobs and will destroy our music and publishing industry. Piracy funds terrorism and will destroy our development and your future enjoyment. Don't touch the hot stuff. Cool is copyright. Copyright is a matter of fact.
If you have any knowledge of the manufacture or sale of counterfeit film and video product or related software, please call our UK hotline on 020 85.
This one you guys probably know.
Take one. You are brilliant.
Thank you.
Good on you!
It wasn't intentional.
I didn't know about those rules.
Are you serious?
No, you're kidding. What's the big deal?
I had no idea.
Really? But why? I'm sorry. You may be a pirate and don't even know it. In fact, 1 in 3 Australians are accidental pirates. Downloading, burning or buying pirated movies and TV programs makes you a pirate.
No.
Please, watch what you watch.
So you'll notice that there's a so, yeah. Do you want...
Only about the second one is that the music that was used in advertising are stolen from the creator.
Really?
They use the music without the permission of the person.
Oh my God! I did not know that. I am so happy to know that. Thank you. Does anyone else have any cool facts for me about those videos? No. So.
Don't know if it's a fact, but there was a comedian who summed up that second one pretty well. No, I wouldn't steal a car, but if my mate called me up and said, "Hey, I just bought a new car. Can I burn you a copy?" Then yes.
And I guess that's one of the key questions in this is when we're looking at digital and digital platforms, do people essentially see it as being the same? And the discourse is to promote that it is the same. But I think a lot of people are sort of reluctant to agree with that.
It's only okay to virus if it's not readily available in your country. If not, go down to the shop and buy the DVD.
So there are many approaches, and I guess it's one of those things. They're called scofflaws, laws that they are absolutely impossible to enforce, that kind of make people just kind of make up their own rules in response to what they mean or what is okay and what is not okay. So I guess all of this is necessitated by the digital technological convergence and globalization via the internet. So I guess we've moved ahead, and it is very difficult, I guess, to put the genie back in the bottle in a way. But the discourses you'll notice in there often speak about, the Australian film industry, the UK film industry, these sorts of things. So it's appealing very much to a sort of an anti-global discourse in a way of going, oh no, well, you're hurting us, our country, by behaving in this way. So, yes.
Some people, they get like a lot of reviews and stuff from friends, but the idea is if you really enjoy it, you go buy a company in order to support the people who made it.
Yeah. So there's all sorts of rules. I think lots of people have their own rules. It's okay if it's Hollywood. It's not okay if it's indie. It's there's all sorts of rules. But I guess the question is, those rules don't always actually match up with what the real rules are, and part of that is that I think there is a bit of a disconnect in that sense. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in
Australia blocks the.
I'll leave that.
They're never going to see how many people they don't get because they're difficult, or how many people actually allow their subscriptions to lapse for that exact.
No, this is what I always like. When I was in Australia, everybody told me that they watched my show, and I figured they must be getting old versions of it because it doesn't air there. But they were watching the show like the week before because the whole country pirates there. Here, weirdos kind of pirate. There's not that many people that pirate here.
Yeah.
But in Australia, moms and dads pirate video because we're not letting them buy it, because we're keeping it from them. We have shows that have been on the air here for like 3 years, and we won't even give them, if they're given the option, like everybody in the world is like, take my fucking credit card and just let me have the thing and I'll pay. But if you're going to be a pain in the ass, fuck you, I can steal all of it. So the whole country of Australia rips TV. And I learned this, so when I put my Beacon special, one of the big important things to me was that it was globally available right away. And they're happy to buy it, right? So I told FX they should sell my show on my website. And they said that we can't do that because we can't let other countries see it before.
Oh, boy.
And but what they're doing, all those companies, and this piece of shit fucking company that we're talking on right now, is they're keeping money out. It's a cage. It's keeping money out. It's not keeping it in.
Right.
They think they're keeping money in, but they're keeping it out.
Okay, so I guess that I've been so good all semester with warning you about swearing, and now I've gotten in trouble for having swearing before. Of students. I guess there you hear the perspective of Louis C.K., comedian, TV writer, etc., and his perspective that sort of, again, it's okay because it's not available, but why aren't we making this globally available? And I think it will have to happen soon. That media flows will become truly global, but it's not quite happened yet.
I just want to say two things. One thing is like piracy
Yes.
we're in the US,
Yeah.
we're in Australia, but we were still paying for it. So we're happy to pay for it. We just wanted it to be here.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's sort of like, we will pay for things, just make it available to us. Because, you know, if it's not available, there's no other way for us to get it.
So just to start wrapping things up, this is the sort of key issues of the course, as I see it, have been the idea that media and culture are complex, interrelated. Some of the key issues that we've considered and that I would challenge you to consider when you're looking at any given media product is who or what is being represented, what is not being represented, how is it being represented, and why might it be represented in a particular way? Does it match with particular norms, particular discourses that we're used to? What consumers is it being directed at? Whether contemporary media is a participatory culture or not, or if that's sort of blocked in some ways by various kinds of media dominance, and how different platforms, multi-textual story worlds influence the experience of consumption. What role is played by the media in making arguments to media consumers about political issues? So we'll explore that a bit more in the workshops in relation to developing arguments about these, the piracy videos and the kazoops, and how global convergence, industrial convergence, so the economic side, technological convergence and textual convergence, so the transmedia storytelling, help shape media structures and media texts. So in terms of the globalization of the media, particularly, some of these questions are more relevant than others, and I've noted some of them there. If you think now about what the last media text is that you saw, to what extent is it a global text? Is it distributed globally? Is it made in more than one country? Did you watch it on a global platform? And going forward, it's a bit small because I was trying to fit it on one page. But someone asked me during the week, there's something written on film and television studies, FMCS 1200, that it's not compatible with Film 1010. Film 1010 is a subject we had like 5 years ago, so don't worry, I'm sure you haven't taken it. It doesn't mean you can't take that subject if you've taken this one. So some people take one or the other. Communication and culture focuses more on the sort of interrogating culture, cultural studies sort of side of stuff that we've done. Film and television studies is a more in-depth focus on film and TV. Some of you I know are in second and third year. We've got music and culture as an online subject next semester, or popular culture and society. There's some third year things there. Next year, we are going to have one subject that won't be then offered the following year. It's a third year subject, but it's peak TV. And I know some of you have expressed interest in television studies. So if you're a second year but you would like to take that, just talk to me, because it won't be available to you in your third year. It's in a rotation. So yes, so if anyone has questions about those things, let me know. And I will leave it there. And thank you guys for all coming and listening and everything. And I hope to see you all in the workshops today.